and welcome to ThreatTraq Essentials. I'm here with Ken Walsh this week. How are you, Ken?
I'm doing great, Don. How are you?
Terrific. Let's talk about some of the stories that you all covered on this week's ThreatTraq. The first one, Ganesh brought us a story about some common vulnerabilities that ransomware gangs are exploiting. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so this started out as a member of an incident response team, was really just putting together a list of what they thought were common vulnerabilities they've seen in the last year or two, maybe three, that have been used by ransomware gangs. And when you put things out on the internet, people like to give feedback. And sure enough, within 24 hours, 48 hours, the list has grown quite a bit. I think Ganesh had said the list of CVEs is at about 43 last that he looked, and I'm sure it's continuing to grow. And what they did was they were able to categorize it against, against a particular software that the CVE is? Is it a particular set of products? Is it a particular operating system? And what this really allows you to do is look at where might some of the common vulnerabilities that are currently or having previously been used by ransomware gangs.
So what's a lesson we can take from a story like this?
Something like this, I think one thing we were discussing that really resonates is having a good patching strategy. So when these vulnerabilities come out, that you or your organization are able to patch these vulnerabilities in a timely manner, or if something comes out that says this is a level, I'll just say a level 1 type item needs to be patched immediately, that type of timing gets given to it. But also it shows us that some of these vulnerabilities are several years old, in that I think 2017 might have been the earliest one Ganesh mentioned, maybe 2018. And what this really tells us is maybe they're not being used as much now, but if they're still being used at all, it means they're still being used successfully, which means there is more patchwork that needs to be done. So really one of the big takeaways from this is patching software in a timely manner.
Ken, you brought us a story about how Android may now be offering some improved security and privacy.
Yeah, that's right, Don. So with Android 11, Google had put out a feature that allows to what they call auto reset an unused app's permissions. So if you think about, I think the example we were using was if you had downloaded, say, a calculator app from the Google Play Store, and it asks for permissions to your camera or to your microphone, something that maybe it really shouldn't have, or maybe there was a good reason for at the time for it. But then you don't use the app for a while, maybe a couple weeks, couple months, or ever again, but it remains on your phone. And what Google's doing is then saying, okay, after whatever the threshold of time is, we're going to reset the permissions that app is allowed to use so that it can't necessarily access your photos or your microphone or your camera. And not only are they doing this on Android 11, but later this year, it's going to be enabled on Android platforms dating back to Android 6, which was released, if I remember correctly, in late 2015. So their commentary was that this should cover potentially billions of devices that can then have permissions auto reset to effectively protect, who knows how many people at that point.
Well, it's always good to have a story about improving security. Finally, Andy brought us a story about what may be the end of the old infamous password 123.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like it. So Andy's story was interesting in that this isn't necessarily the first time a company has done this, but Microsoft has released a feature where I believe it was targeting their Office apps, but it might be targeting more. I would have to go back and double check. But you would essentially not be required to have password authentication for these accounts. So what would happen is instead of entering your username and my password is, something like password 123, instead you would say, okay, here's my username or phone number, and you're already now using, as part of the sign-up process, the Microsoft Authenticator app or something like a security token, like, say, a YubiKey. And you'll use those then to authenticate to say, yes, this is me looking to access this system, whether it's via a notification on your phone or by plugging in or having your YubiKey or other security token, in a certain proximity to the computer or phone that you're authenticating on. So then you don't have to worry about, oh, did I make my password too simple? Or did I make it too complex, so now I can't remember it? Or if I mistyped it, now I have to retype all 45 characters again and hope I did it right.
Well, again, that's great news about improved security and more convenient security, too. So thanks for all that great insight. Thank you all for watching. If you want to keep up with great insight on cybersecurity like this every week, like and subscribe below. And if you want to take a deeper look at any of these stories, click on them and watch them in their entirety. We'll see you next time.